Tarik Skubal standoff may cost the Tigers, and Roki Sasaki could be the Dodgers' price.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Henry Ruiz. That's Travis Rogers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, a little side-eye moment involving Kyle Tucker. Projection systems are absolutely losing their minds over the Dodgers. But first, Travis, we're talking about a blockbuster trade proposal for the reigning and defending back-to-back AL Cy Young winner, Tarik Skubal. But here's the kicker. This one includes Roki Sasaki.
Okay. I mean, I can't wait to talk about it. Tarik Skubal's pretty good. We could get into it on today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win.
You can catch Travis every weekday afternoon from 3 to 6 on 710 ESPN LA, holding it down on the Travis DeMarco Show. And if you're not in Southern California or if you're on the move, the ESPN LA app keeps you plugged in no matter where you are. As for me, when I'm not on the call for USC football or Raiders games in Spanish, this is home base, breaking down Dodgers baseball with you day in and day out. If today's your first time here, welcome in. You picked a good place to land. And if you're an everydayer, you already know this show doesn't work without you. Watching on YouTube, tap that like button, jump in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. Listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods, a quick 5-star rating helps this show reach even more Dodgers fans. And if you ever want your voice on the show, the Locked On Dodgers listener line is always open. 2793-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. Drop a text, like we will be reading one later in the show, or leave us a voicemail. All right, we're kicking things off with the Skubal question. How far is too far? And right here, we got this segment split up in two. And first, we're going to start off talking about how the Tigers and Skubal are on a collision course today, literally, as they head into one of the most unprecedented arbitration hearings we've ever seen. Skubal, the reigning back-to-back American League Cy Young Award winner, is facing off with Detroit over his 2026 salary, and the gap is massive, Travis. One side, the Tigers, they say $19 million. The other, the player, his agency, say $32 million. There's no middle ground right there.
Well, there shouldn't be. I mean, the Tigers are out of their ever-loving minds. This is a terrible look for them. Tarik Skubal, $19 million a year for the best pitcher in baseball, arguably. What are we doing? I mean, this is good news for everybody that may have the money and the assets to try to get him, because if I were Tarik Skubal, I would be horribly offended by the $19 million offer. 32 seems like a steal for that guy. It really does. So I will be really surprised if this comes back at anything other than Skubal's number, because for maybe the small group of people that don't know, baseball, the arbiter doesn't decide, okay, you're offering 19, you're offering 32, we'll split the difference and we'll go to 26. They pick one or the other. This is how this works in baseball, and it really feels like Skubal's going to get the money that he's asking for. But even if he does, I would imagine he's going to be in his feelings a little bit. I would imagine that, the Tigers have been good with Tarik Skubal. They've gone to the playoffs. They've been a competitive team, and they do seem to have a plan in place on how to maintain this to a degree. Maybe not like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or something like that, but they do, for considering the division they play in, they're set up probably better than most. But I really do think this opens up the possibility of him moving sooner than later.
Yeah, and here's why this matters just beyond the money. When arbitration gets this contentious, it's what fundamentally can change a relationship. And if the Tigers lose and have to hand Skubal $32 million, that stings for them. But for the player too, it's like, hey man, you don't see the value that I have, that I bring to this organization, that I've won 2 Cy Youngs in a row, that I helped you get into the postseason last year. And every time I was out there on that mound, you felt like it was already a win. So if this goes sideways, if the Tigers don't find a way before this negotiation or this arbitration starts to be like, okay, man, look, we're going to give you this amount, and Skubal and his agency's happy with it, man, this is going to crack the door wide open, not only for the Dodgers, but for any team that would be interested in getting Skubal into their team. And look, for the Tigers, they would be able to say, we'll wait for the right offer. We'll wait until somebody gives us whatever we want. It doesn't have to be before the season starts. It could be all the way to the trade deadline. We will wait. Somebody's going to give us what we want for Skubal.
Yeah, that's the thing. The juice that the Tigers have in this, the juice that Skubal has is obvious. He's awesome, right? Like he's the best pitcher in the American League, and if he's not, he's 1A, but he is. That's his juice, and that he's going to be able to go out there and perform at a level that we haven't seen in a long time. Like you said, back-to-back Cy Youngs. The Tigers' juice is they do have control of him for at least one more year. They do have control of him at least until the trade deadline. And Skubal's going to go out there and perform. And if he's great and the team is good, they keep him. They try to smooth over whatever happens. They try to give him a long-term deal at a number that he's satisfied with, and you can move forward with him. If not, if the Tigers underperform, if the Tigers are out of the playoff picture, then you can dangle him for other teams, and you could get a return that could be astronomical. And I think that, the Tigers are actually, while I think it's crazy that they're doing a staring contest with a guy as good as Skubal, I understand that they're going to get some really good stuff regardless. They're either going to get to keep him, which is a win, or they're going to get a haul of prospects and maybe even, finished major league products coming back the other way. So I get what they're doing. I would do it the other way, but somebody's going to pay through the nose to get him.
Hey, and if I were Skubal and this arbitration case does go through and there's no negotiation beforehand and the Tigers want to keep you, I'd be like, okay, Yamamoto got $325 million. From you, I want $500 million. I want $600 million. From everybody else, I'll look at what they have to offer. But for you, you don't get no hometown discount. You're going to get a tax for not being able to keep me happy before this happens. So now, if the door is cracked open, we already talked about some names that have been thrown out there, Nemechia, Asire Hope, Alex Freeland, even Tyler Glasnow. His name was brought up in some people throwing out there as propositions for the trade. High upside talent, real value, but still within reason. But Bleacher Report, they floated something that stopped people in their tracks, a package centered around Roki Sasaki. This is their trade proposal. Skubal for Sasaki, Sahir Hope, and Jackson Ferris. From Detroit's perspective, Travis, that's a franchise reset in one move, and Sasaki, he would still be under team control for half a decade. So that would be positive for them, and Sasaki has an upside like crazy. We were talking about his ceiling last week here on Locked On Dodgers. For our everydayers, you know that conversation that we had. But he's still not the finished product. He's not the guy that's going to go in there and replace Tarik Skubal in 2026 or 2027. Skubal is a two-time Cy Young Award winner, and I know somebody in the comments was mad when talking about him over the last couple of weeks. I put him above Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I put him above Paul Skeens. I said, hey, he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. And people's like, how can you put him above Yamamoto? I'm like, hey, I feel that's the reality right now. Maybe next year or in 2 years after that, Yamamoto is above him. But right now, Skubal is the guy that's leading the charge. So, Travis, would you be willing to give up Sasaki to end up getting an elite arm for 2026? Because that's the deal right now. Obviously, you could work behind the scenes on having an agreement, a handshake agreement or a verbal agreement. It's like, hey, man, we're going to work with you to get you what you want if you accept this trade, or if you're cool with us trading for you.
Yes. I mean, it's not even something to think about twice. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it today. I'll have my guys on a plane in an hour. Let's get it done. It's very, very easy for me. For two things. Number one, the Dodgers would never do it without reassurances that he's going to sign long-term with them, because that's how they operate. They're not going to do a rental and give a guy that does have that potential that you're talking about with Sasaki going the other way. But that, I think, is also the reason that you do it as quickly as you do. Here, the difference between you might be great you might be a front of the rotation, number one starting pitching in the major leagues, and a guy that is as big as the Grand Canyon. There is nothing to do with what it is and what it might be. Tarik Skubal is, and I'm with you, the best pitcher in baseball, or he's second or third. We could argue 100. I don't really care. It's a dumb argument to me whether you want to, whatever. He's one of the best that there is. Roki Sasaki is, I don't know. We'll see.
And great in the postseason. He didn't look good when he started.
He was good. He was good. And that he was good for a few weeks. Tarik Skubal has been good for 2 years. He has been the best for 2 years. There is no, hey, is he going to figure out how to get guys out in the big leagues? There's no figuring it out. He is. He's gotten guys out in the big league. Sasaki is nothing but potential. Now, it is incredibly high potential. It is there, who God only knows what it'll be, but so often potential ends up as just that. It's like, it just never came together. It's hard. This is a proven major league player. And that's why I think that anybody that's heard me on my radio show, we talk about this in the NBA all the time, trading draft picks. I trade draft picks left and right because I know what this player is. This player is an NBA player. This guy is a major league player. A prospect, I don't know. Maybe he turns out to be Yordan Alvarez and he's great. Or maybe it turns out to be a Kyber Ruiz who's like, he's okay, but he's not Trey Turner. He's not Max Scherzer. He's not one of these guys. So I would do it in a second. I understand it's expensive, but we know that the Dodgers, that's not really something that is in their way, the economics of it all. They'll figure out how to get these guys paid. I don't really worry about that too much. But finding a talent like that, that's really hard to do. Maybe Sasaki turns into one. Skubal already is. That's a no-brainer to me.
This would be a win now at all costs move. But the thing is, the Dodgers don't need to panic buy aces. They already built the depth in that rotation, in the team overall, and they don't need him. But man, they probably didn't need a Kyle Tucker. They probably didn't need an Edwin Diaz. You could find very good closer, very good outfielder to not go and get the best one, but that's what they do. They can, they go, they get. So the debate is whether giving up Sasaki fundamentally breaks the Dodgers' long-term edge. But right now, what's the focus? Winning in 2026, getting the three-peat, and heck, setting yourself up to potentially think about 4 in a row whenever that 4th season in a row would happen.
Well, the cupboard's not bare. It's not like he's their only prospect either. This goes back to what we've talked about time after time. They're really good at drafting and developing. Just because they take here's our top pitching. Okay. We'll get another one. They always get another one. They're better at that than everybody else. This is one of those things. And by the way, it makes a little sense for Detroit too because of the team control and everything else. But this is a no-brainer for the Dodgers. And the reason it might go that way is because they have a player like Sasaki that they might be willing to deal with, where other teams, they don't have a player like that. Every team in baseball wanted Sasaki. The Dodgers got him, but if they could flip him for Skubal, I mean, there aren't a lot of guys I'd flip him for, but I certainly would do it for Skubal.
No doubt about it. But if you want to understand why the Dodgers don't have to make desperation trades, next on Locked On Dodgers, wait until you hear what FanGraphs projections think about 2026 for the boys in blue.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. That's a sad statement right there. It's Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure that you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. So whether you're backing the favorite, Seahawks, whether you're riding with the underdog, Pats, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everybody has been waiting for. So this is where your predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels enormous, huge. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from the kickoff to the final whistle. So if you are new to FanDuel, if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after FanDuel, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. The numbers don't blink. The Dodgers are the heavy favorites, and that might be the understatement of the year. FanGraphs dropped its 2026 preseason projections, and honestly, it reads like a warning label to the rest of Major League Baseball. Travis, I don't know if you've seen the number or not, but if you wanted to guess the projection to win the World Series for the Dodgers out of 100%, what number would you put for the boys in blue?
45.
So 28.4, which is pretty high considering there's 30 teams that there is in baseball. The Dodgers competing with 29 of them. But let that sink in. That's not just first place. That's nearly 3 times higher than the second best, which are the Braves at 10.2%. To put that gap in perspective, the distance between the Dodgers and Atlanta is bigger than the gap between Atlanta and the 9th team with the better odds in these projections. It's ridiculous. They're projecting the Dodgers to win 99.6 games, so pretty much reaching the triple digits with it's 99.1% chance of making the playoffs. That's pretty much a given. No other team even cracks an 11% title probability, so pretty much 28%. What do you think about that?
I think it's part of the problem of baseball. I think that we've gotten to the point where it has become that 28% is a lot. I understand that. It's the 99.1 number that is the one like, okay, what are we doing here? That's the one to me that is non-competitive. And we saw it last year. The Dodgers were injured. They seemed to be quasi disinterested or just kind of on autopilot for periods of time. And then when it got time to go, they pulled away. They go into the postseason, and we know what happened there. The postseason is a crapshoot. That even if you have a team that is the Dodgers as currently constructed, that to lose 3 out of 5 or to lose 4 out of 7, that happens all the time, even to teams that are really, really good. So I understand that it's kind of a coin flip or a weighted coin flip at that point, but that the Dodgers are going to go through a 6-month schedule with a virtual certainty of reaching the playoffs is not good for a variety of other reasons that we've talked about. But as a Dodger fan, it's fun, but it's also one of those that we're kind of sitting here spinning our wheels and we're watching for, great moments and great performances and exciting games. But the daily winning and losing of this team, we already know, and I think 99 games is, It's about the right number because I don't think they're going to go crazy and try to win, 115 or something like that. But I think they're going to win 95, just kind of asleep at the switch. And if they do get hot for a period of time, who only knows where that number goes?
It feels like, Travis, like they could not show up for 20, 30 games, literally not show up at the stadium, lose them by default, and still be a postseason game with the way that they're constructed.
Yeah, look. I don't even like to, short of a catastrophe, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to. They have 8 or 9 major league quality starting pitchers. And of those 8 or 9, 5 or 6 of them are all-stars. They've got a lineup where, 1 through 9, just about everybody on that team has been an all-star at one point, and many of them have been MVPs or multiple MVPs. They've got guys on their bench that are as experienced and as grizzled as you could possibly have, with guys like Rojas, and I know we all expect Kike Hernandez to be back, guys that have been through it time after time. They've got a manager that's not going to panic and do anything crazy, that they have all, and they've got the ability to, whatever might go wrong, we can fix it on the fly. We'll go get another guy. We'll make a trade. We'll do what it is. So yeah, it's fun in the sense of that, you're going to be playing in October, which is a crapshoot, but the season should also be a little bit of a crapshoot as well. And the Dodgers have kind of broke the bank when it comes to that.
No doubt about it. And look, when you combine the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mets, That's, if you put their numbers together, that's nearly half of all the World Series probability to win the Fall Classic, and that pretty much would be a coin flip that the champion would be coming out of these three teams from National League, and still out of those three teams, the Dodgers would have the biggest slice of the pie. But this is what happens when elite pitching, depth, it meets a stacked lineup and organizational stability. That is why exactly the Dodgers have control, and they would be able to trade away someone like Roki Sasaki, which isn't a necessity. It would be a choice, and the team would still be in a great position to win a third World Series in a row. And they've been setting themselves up for years to be in this position. But at the same time, you see that they have the deck of cards stacked in their favor. And I understand people like you who are frustrated with being like, hey man, it doesn't seem fair for other teams, because it's not. But at the same time, the Dodgers, they've gone through it year after year after year in the past where, yes, they seem to have the deck stacked in their favor. Now they do, and now that they're winning, it becomes more of a problem for other teams, but because they just take advantage of spending that money that they are earning. I was looking at, for example, the Reds, the TV contract that they're going through, and all that the TV stations that are going under and that MLB is taking over. It's like, how do you expect the Reds to compete with the Dodgers when they're making this amount of money? The Dodgers are making this amount of money. Starters, different market. I know I have to pay over $200 just to get Sportsnet LA via MLB TV, because even though I live in Vegas, they consider it a Dodgers market. So I'm pretty sure those $200 are going back to Sportsnet LA to pay that contract. I don't feel that it's the same case with the Reds, with people being able to access their games a little bit cheaper. But the Dodgers, they're expensive. You want to buy a ticket for the game, cost you a pretty penny at Dodger Stadium compared to that's why Dodgers fans like going to Arizona. That's why they like going to Anaheim, because it's a road game, but it's sometimes cheaper to go to those games than going to Dodger Stadium. So it costs Dodgers fans, but the team invests it back on the field and at the stadium too.
No, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. That's the thing. I think people get caught up in that there's a wrong, and it's not. They're not breaking any rules. They're not doing anything wrong. My point is, I don't watch the Globetrotters. I don't watch the Savannah Bananas. I don't watch things that I already know the conclusion of this. The reason we turn these games on is I don't know what's going to happen. I might know they might be tilted one way or the other, but I don't know what's going to happen. And to your point, well, they've had stacked teams in other years and they have one. You're right. But it used to be they were stacked where they had 3 6s. Now they've got 4 jacks. Can you still, it's more stacked. It's more tilted. It's less likely. And that's the point. And again, I get it. I as a Dodger fan, I liked it. 75 cents of every dollar that they make goes right back on the field. It's an incredible, situation to have owners that are that invested in winning, and I love that. But because the other owners aren't, and I understand that they're following the rules as well, but it's getting to the point where you have such a wide disparity, to your point, that you can put 3 or 4 teams over here, and it's the same as having the entire 26 or 27 over there, and the odds are the same, that I shouldn't be able to pick 1 of 3 out of 30 and have a really good chance of getting it right. It should be 1 or 2 out of 10 or 15. That's totally different. Now it's 1 or 2 out of 3, and there's 26, 27 teams that are just hoping to get, and not even... There's 3 that got a chance. There's 3 that kind of have a chance. And then there's 24 that have no chance. That's not a league.
Yeah, FanDuel has the Dodgers as plus 220 favorites. And then after that, it's the Yankees at plus 1,000.
Yeah.
It's a huge gap between one team and the next. And look, this brings us to a different type of conversation. One about optics, loyalty, and Dodger fan anxiety. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, a listener question sparks a debate. Did Kyle Tucker make a misstep showing up at a charity event hosted by the owner of the Houston Astros, or are we overthinking it? Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Rogers, just like Dodgers, but replace the first T with an R. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Dodger or Astro? The Kyle Tucker optics debate. Shout out to Carlos from the 915 El Paso, Texas, who hit us up on the Locked On Dodgers listener line via text, which sums up how some fans felt. He says, and I quote, "Guys, how do we feel about Tucker being at the Astros charity event? Someone tell him like Hirsch told Freddie, hope we're not second fiddle out here," end quote. And look, I get it. On the surface, it definitely looks weird. Kyle Tucker just signed a massive deal with the Dodgers, and there he is at a charity golf tournament led by the owner of the Houston Astros. But look, context also matters. This wasn't just some random appearance that he had. This was the inaugural Jim Crane Celebrity Classic, raising over $1 million for youth sports, cancer research, military appreciation, homelessness, and domestic violence prevention. It wasn't at, well, I was going to say Minute Maid Park. What's it called now? Dakin Park over in Houston. It wasn't the Houston Astros charity, whatever it's called over there, like the Dodgers Foundation, the Astros Foundation. No, it was the owner of the franchise that Tucker spent 7 years in. And you know the relationships between star players and owners. It grows year after year. The better you are, the more it grows. And even though he didn't get paid those millions and he got traded away, Travis, I don't feel that that relationship should disappear overnight. And I'm okay with Kyle Tucker going and attending and helping that charity get some bucks.
I think if it were any team other than the Astros, we wouldn't give this a second thought. I think this is entirely Astro related. I think that had he been a former Minnesota Twin and gone back to play in a charity golf tournament with the owner of the Minnesota Twins, we would not be having this conversation. And Carlos, I'm with you. I'm with you that anything that is Astro related makes me go, wait, what? Like, because they're cheating scumbags. Right. They will always, for Dodger fans like Carlos, like Harry, like me, we went through what we went through with the Astros. You see that uniform, you see those players, and it's instantly like, man, I don't know about these guys. You always are going to feel a certain way. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I understand it, and I'm with you. Like Harry just said, though, this is an event to raise money for good causes. He played there and was very good there. And they went. If Freddie Freeman went back and played in an Atlanta Braves charity tournament, would anybody look at it weird? I don't think so. If Mookie went back to Boston to do that, very, very few players are at one place for their entire career. They're going to move around. They're going to have relationships. They're going to have friends on other teams. The star players are very likely to have relationships with ownership. So it is weird because it's the Astros, and the Astros, perpetrated a fraud against the entire major leagues when they did what they did in 2017. But I don't think that Kyle Tucker, owes anybody an apology for going to help raise money for some pretty darn good causes.
Yeah, and leaving a team, signing a contract with another team doesn't erase your past with another franchise, with another city, because that's the reality too. You become embedded with the community that you become a part of. And when they tell you, hey, can you come out and help us out with this? All you got to do is come and play a round of golf. We'll get you your flight. We'll get you your hotel. Somebody's going to be excited to have you there. And there were celebrities. Ken Griffey Jr. was there for all of us who love baseball. 50 Cent, who now lives in Houston, was out there. And for people who spend thousands of dollars to play golf with those folks, to rub elbows with them, that's cool. And they'll spend a couple extra $1,000 in the silent auction that goes down. Like I go to the Fred Biletnikoff Golf Invitational every year out here in Las Vegas, and there's people excited to just be with former Raiders out there on the field. Marcus Allen shows up, Tim Brown shows up, and people all of a sudden want to spend more money to get an autographed helmet from them, to get a jersey signed by them. It's just something that happens, and all that money goes to great causes. Shout out to Freddie and Angela, the Biletnikoff Foundation. Go and check it out. I got to give them a big shout out right there. But look also, Travis, I don't know if you noticed, Sunday, Chris Taylor, he had his plunge his over there in SoCal too. And who showed up? Tyler Glasnow, Will Smith, Emmett Sheehan, and CT3 is no longer with the Raiders, but his former teammates show up to help out a guy who last year played with the Angels. It doesn't matter. It's all about helping right there, CT3, the Friendship Foundation, and the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. There's no problem with that.
It's an Astro thing. Justin Turner still has events here in Los Angeles because this is where he had his high water marks as a major league. It's an Astro thing. If it were any of the 28 other teams, I think we'd go, yeah, cool, man. Go raise some money for some kids. Go raise some money for this cause or that cause. It's all good. This is entirely Astro related. And I get it. I totally understand the reaction to anything Houston Astro. As a Dodger fan, I'm sure Yankee fans feel exactly the same way when it comes to the Astros because, of what happened there. But this is not a big deal. This is now, we'll see what it shakes out to as, we'll get to know Kyle Tucker in spring training. We'll get to know him during the regular season, and we can make our own evaluations on that as we get through it. But this does not poison the well to me at all. This is a guy trying to go raise some money for a good cause.
And looking at it at one perspective, he values relationships, responsibility, and community. And there's zero indication that Tucker isn't fully bought into the Dodgers. And hopefully soon we see him hosting or participating in these type of events that benefit the Los Angeles community. And he will. I mean, you look at that contract, that some of it is going to go back to, and hey, maybe even a community in Houston, but also a community in LA. All right, that'll do it for today's pod. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. On tomorrow's show, Blake Snell hopes to be ready for opening day, but a slower ramp-up could push that back. We'll break it down and what it means on tomorrow's episode. If you never miss a show, the Everydayer Club is made for you. Get Locked On Dodgers ad-free plus members-only Discord access by visiting lockedondodgers.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you watching us on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure that you make your second listen Locked On MLB. Travis, we appreciate everybody riding with us, right?
Everydayers, keep them coming. Can't get enough.
And if you're an everydayer, just join the club, be a part of it. Even if you don't join the Everydayer Club, just coming through every single day. We're doing this every weekday, Monday through Friday, from the rest of the year until the season is over. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.